late, and we are live, or we should be live. Thank you for joining me once again. It's been forever, but I have the one and only Troy, Mr. Mahvel. Thank you for joining me, man.
Hey, thanks for having me. This is my favorite show. This is my favorite show to come on.
You're just telling me that. You're just too kind. You're too kind for your own good, man.
No, I mean, if you look at it, I think I have more appearances on Holding Court than any other live show on YouTube. So
Well,
the
I
numbers
appreciate
speak.
that.
The numbers are on your side, Mr. Larry King.
The numbers don't lie. They spell
Yeah.
disaster. Scott Steiner, American's treasure. But yeah, it's fun to have you. Because you bring this. You can be straight. You can bring it. But you can also be very like playful and fun, and you bring. You're not just some. I want to talk about this. Here's the topic, gentlemen. Talk. I will stand back and say nothing. Like, who does streams like that? If you do it, I mean, come on, just give
Oh,
up.
those are absolutely boring. So boring. Um, I mean, I can't even say I don't think I've ever been on one of those streams,
I
thankfully.
have, I
But
have, and it's like one of those things. Like, those people you see, like that person had an accident cleaning their gun. You don't have accidents cleaning your gun. It's just like a nice way of saying he took the easy way out. Like he played GTA. But yeah, it's one of those things. Like I like to have I like to have a pretty tight knit group as far as like if more than like four people, including myself, because once you get past that, then you got waiting to talk and everything, and it sometimes still happens one on one. But
Mhm.
dude, you bring energy to it. You also, like I said, you bring that realness. You keep it real without it going wrong, usually.
I think one of the things that has led is one of the driving factors of my success is that I'm a real person, and I don't like, the character I play is me. Yeah, I mean, I slightly exaggerate a few things here and there, but for the most part, I'm kind of being up and honest in just about everything. That's why, I mean, I was even just on Weaponized Nerd Rage stream last night, and it was like, I gotta confess, sometimes it's tough to build a following because I'll get all these new people off of a great shit post, right? Then next thing you know, I'm gonna say something that contradicts their ideology because I'm more of a down the center guy. You know what I mean?
Exactly, exactly. Like that's the thing. You're not this. You'll you'll show big-breasted women are beautiful, and then you'll do something that's like, dude, I don't know, man. It's weird questions like, ooh, that's a rough one right there. Let's hopefully somebody. I hope you post again or something that or like that. Well, thankfully that is not an issue because Twitter for some reason has decided to shadow ban you. For
I have
most
a
posts.
search. I don't know if I have. I don't know if I'm officially shadow banned, but I have a search ban. So you can't just type in Mr. Marvel and it'll bring it to me. What you'll see is a bunch of people replying to me. And from what I heard, a lot of times some people won't see my tweets at all, but then
Yeah,
other people see it just fine. So it's not a full shadow ban, but
it's
there's
weird.
weird things.
I think it's dialed down for certain people because I'll see your post sometimes hours after that you go up, and I'll see people that have replied to stuff, and then I'll see your tweets, which is
Yeah.
weird. It's like, but I mean, Twitter's just I think ever since Twitter let in the Tumblr castaways, it's just been really weird.
Hell, if you ask me, it's all because social media has not been turned into an official utility, so that the government can, get in there and do its thing. It's still considered a private business, so they can do whatever they want, whenever they want, to whoever they want. I mean, even look at everything that's been happening with like YouTube and the Vox Adpocalypse. You know, it all it takes is crying and whining on the right side, and you'll get a media to cave because
Yeah,
they're more scared of the optics than anything.
yeah, they don't want and also they for something like YouTube, which is so subsistent on ads, even though they run in a deficit. It's like makes me think why are they running in deficit. If a business is, it's like you can't call Twitter a boutique because boutiques can run in a deficit. You can run, you be in the red. You can be in the red with a boutique. It's like there's comic stores that are like that. They just run them because they just want to have a comic book store. They want to have like a hangout place. That's their clubhouse that they sometimes sell stuff through, but most of the time they don't. So they can be rude and they can run a bad business, or they could just run a business in an area that just can't support it. But then like something like Twitter, which just now started getting much more ads, and YouTube is like doubled up on the ad content. So if I watch it on my Xbox, I have no issues. Well, I have less issues. But if I'm watching on laptop or something, it's like double ads. Some ads are 3 minutes long. They're the most annoying ads possible. It's like just trying to get your attention. And like we cut the cable. Everybody cut the cable. Get away from this stuff, and it just comes back. But oh yeah, custom songmaker. Welcome in the chat. In the chat says I haven't seen your tweets in forever. So there you go. That might be that's another thing. It's like you're there, but for some people you're just not. They like pick and choose. I guess if you follow certain this, that, whatever, some algorithm tells you. So I don't know.
That's weird. Well, I'm sure it's pretty much because of the content of my tweets. It would make sense even like this month because this.
I will say there's times I'm like, hey, you want to be open and honest with us, man?
Yes, I will be open and honest. There's nothing more fun than taking an ideology that you know is incorrect and using it against people. I'm a queer Hispanic right now. There's nothing anyone can say against me because I'm protected.
That's what you identify as, right?
That's it. I'm a queer Latino. That's it.
It's like this. You're in a battlefield. You're surrounded by the enemy, and you have no weapons, but you pick up an enemy's shield, an enemy's like sword, and you're fighting the enemy with it. It's like, but he's wearing our banners. He's wearing our colors. He's using our weapons to fight us. I don't know.
So right now, let's say like right now. So this month, my avatar on Twitter has a rainbow. Everything on me has rainbows. I'm taking the point of view of a fully queer person because everything is fluid, right? According to them, everything is fluid. Everything is a choice, and any given day I can choose to be whatever. Which means if I today say I'm queer, you have to give me the full protection. You have to. So they can't get me in trouble. So what they do is make it so that people don't see, because there's a lot of people on Twitter right now that believe that I am really the character I'm playing. I'm nervous for what happens at the end of the month when I switch it back to my regular self. Because I mean, right now I'm even speaking on I unintentionally stumbled upon a community that has been waiting for someone to speak on their behalf, and I'm like, now I'm afraid because I'm like, oh no, I'm not really gay. I'm not really your champion, bro.
You stepped into a bear. It's like this. You. There's a bear's den. It's nice and warm, and everything's nice. And I think you're a bear, and then you're like, you guys know I'm just wearing a bear suit right now. I eventually got to come out of this thing.
Yeah, like I'm totally not a gay dude. I'm sorry, guys. I'm a boring straight guy. I wish I could say that I had this exciting, flamboyant life, but not really. I go home and I watch the news and I'm pissed off and I yell at politicians. Like I don't know. My intention was to make fun of how all the companies suddenly changed to rainbows this month. And that was the whole point of it. But now it's starting to take a whole life of its own as I'm finding myself speaking on behalf of, other of actual gay people that have been afraid to speak up against their own community. And that's sad, actually, when like a meathead straight dude has to go. You can't kick me out, because if they kick me out of the community, I'll be like, all right, I was never really a part of it.
You were a bad ally.
I'm a bad ally. I am a bad ally. I should be open and honest. But
you're not as bad as Disney, though. Disney is like, all these corporations like Disney. Oh, we don't know if we can do any movies in Georgia, but you go to countries where gay people are imprisoned and like tortured, possibly allegedly, like in the UAE, like anybody that goes to these countries where that stuff happens, and like, but I can ride in a Lamborghini and I can shoot machine guns and I can this crazy stuff, and like it's Las Vegas of the Middle East. Las Vegas is a horrible place. Las Vegas in the Middle East sounds like hell.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't describe a fun place. Las Vegas in the Middle East? I mean, Mr. Larry King, you know me. I'm not what you call a liberal or a progressive. But one has to state that Las Vegas isn't exactly the town that respects women.
Exactly. Hey, you want to get a
Now,
whore? Here you go.
yeah, now paint a little Sharia over that. I
The
don't want
worst.
to go to that place.
I know. I went to a comic book store and one of the owners is like, "Oh, I'll be back next week. I'm going to Dubai." And I'm like, "Why are you going to Dubai? You run a comic book store." It's like these people, they go there and it's like well, same thing when people went to Beirut and they went to like these westernized countries like in the Middle East and everything back in the day. And eventually, look what happened. You put enough Western money into something, eventually it will collapse. Like, well, we overthrew the Shah, we overthrew the prime minister of Iran. We put the Shah in power, and that's all. There's like history and photos. See, this is what they did to Iran. No, Iran was not like that before. It was different. It was westernized by force, and that's why you got the rise of the student revolution, and that's how the Ayatollahs went in place. So all these photos and stuff. Same thing in Afghanistan. Like it was not as progressive as everybody wants to say. Like far modern. The modern progressivism, like women wearing whatever they want to wear, not having to look like they're, about to about to teach Batman ninja moves.
Yeah, no, basically.
But yeah, it's different. And at least and you see these people like was the Saudis or there's that rumor that the Saudis gonna buy up the WWF or WWE whatever it's called because they've been doing a lot of those Saudi shows, and it's like they got money. Like I could see Vince and them selling off, to that, which
Yeah,
that's
why
gonna
not?
be, that's well, bye bye women's division.
Seriously. And I
Oh
mean
man,
that they'd be dumb because that's one of their biggest attractions. The women's division. And it's actually come a long way. Because I mean, when we were younger, I mean, the women's division was what, 3 people?
it was like Tori, China. That's a little iffy right there.
And I mean, in China, and even and China was like me as a teenager. When I was a kid, you had Sensational Sherry. She'd every so often fight. What was that? Luna Vachon.
Lunatic, lunatic.
Yeah, and she was hardcore. I mean, she was like the hardest core.
Female,
Uh,
yeah. When
yeah, they had Sunny.
they had
What was her name?
well, that was Sunny Sitch. She eventually went on to do porn.
Yes, she did. Actually, I did see a couple of those.
That was kind of sad looking though. That's like all them like all those like female wrestlers that do stuff like that. It's like then you have like somebody like Sable who was like more plastic than anything. I never, whatever. But like and then you have like the female managers. But now I mean you have talented female athletes on the screen, and that
Oh
like
yeah.
it's the strong female protagonist, but it's not in a like if totally forced artificial way, which a lot of the stuff it's like very lazily done. Hey, we make the woman the lead and we give her a gun and she's tough, right? I'm like, no, you have to give her character. You have to give her motivation. You have to have somebody that can act and have charisma because you can act well, but if you don't have no charisma, you can't carry nothing. It's like God,
No.
God help somebody. It's like if you have oh, what's that? Well, I'm not gonna say Brie Larson, but you were talking about her the other day.
I watched Captain Marvel, by the way.
Oh, okay, yes. Okay, I wanted to know if you had watched this. So.
I did watch Captain Marvel. My honest, unbiased opinion really is, it's not a bad movie. It's just very generic.
That's Marvel movies in general, though. I mean, like,
No, but this one's a bit more generic. And it there was like a good story somewhere in there. And I stand by that adamantly, Larry. There was a good story somewhere in there, but it was stuck not knowing if it wanted to be like a sci-fi hero story, a girl power hero story, or like a funny buddy cop movie. It kept trying to do all these things, and therefore they all suffered because they kept taking away time from one another.
See, that's the
I
Marvel problem in general. When everybody says like, "Well, Doctor Strange is a fantasy story, the Avengers is a team story, and this and that," like these movies are, the one the gets called out the most as being like the best Marvel MCU movie, Winter Soldier. Oh, it's a great spy thriller. I'm like, have you ever watched a spy thriller? Have you ever really watched a spy? No, you haven't. You can call it whatever you want. It doesn't make it. The fights stink. The elevator scene was pretty decent, but it's like compared to the rest of it, and then it's like, oh no, Black Widow is secretly wearing a face mask thing, and oh, Nick Fury fake dies multiple times, and all this. It was just like, what are you trying to do? It's like trying to do too many things at once, and also it's like you introduce Shield, you do really nothing with them, and then Shield's the bad guys because of Hydra, and then we got to get rid of Shield. Like, so you do nothing. Like, there's no really cool scenes like on a helicarrier. Like in the comics, like that's another thing. It's like, everybody wants to, well, comics need to be like the movies. The movies are frankly generic, bland. They make a lot of money, but look at Michael Bay movies. Look at look at what makes a lot of money. Is it, does it usually have a vision, like a voice, a singular voice, and a stark direction? No, it's generic blah movies. The Harry Potter movies, generic and blah. And then people are like, oh no, how dare you? Avatar, Titanic, generic, broad spectrum movies. You won't see, uh, let's see, example. You won't see Silence of the Lambs making a lot of money because it's just not that kind of movie. It's for a certain group, and the movies that resonate most with me are not like that. But what do I know?
I mean, honestly, uh, so like, I feel where superhero movies are suffering the most is they keep trying to take these because let's be honest, these are make believe stories, and they're trying to apply them to the real world, which means they lose certain things in that adaptation. But for example, though, a great superhero movie, Into the Spider-Verse actually ended up being, oh my God, Larry, Jesus Christ, what a fucking good movie.
I couldn't watch it. I couldn't even watch the trailer. That animation, that like choppy, like 16 frames a second. When I saw that, I was thinking, why didn't they just do something that actually had smooth animation? That like that for some reason.
I'll tell you what, when you watch the movie, it's a lot smoother of a flow, and you'll find that specific. There's times they kind of splice that in, and I'm telling you, man, that is the greatest Spider-Man movie I've ever fucking seen. If they could make the comic book Miles Morales like this Miles Morales, oh my God, I would put it on my pull list. That's
I don't think it's gonna happen though.
no, it's never gonna happen. It's never. I mean, Larry, this movie was so good. Do you want to know my criticism about Spider-Gwen was in this movie?
What?
They didn't give me enough of her.
Yeah.
They made her such a cool version of but like this. They made these such a cool version, and they added little hints to let you know certain things. Like, if you pay attention, the Peter Parker you spend the movie with, who's like, he's older, he's retired, he's out of shape, he's bitter. In his dimension, he swings by a Coca-Cola sign. They make it very clear that Miles doesn't exist in a dimension where Coca-Cola exists. So the movie was subtly telling us, no, this is the real Spider-Man, and just the way they set him up with such a perfect metaphor for what Marvel's done for him in the last few years, and just the dialogue between him and Miles in the last few scenes. You know how I'm always saying, I don't mind a new hero if you pass the torch correctly? God damn it, Larry, they passed that torch correctly in that movie.
See, what gets me about the whole Spider-Gwen thing that you're talking about, Spider-Gwen, like certain characters exist, in my opinion, to replace other ones because of Marvel is really sleazy. Everybody knows this. So it goes back to Stan Lee. Everybody's like, oh my God, Stan Lee's perfect, did nothing wrong. No, Stan Lee, the whole used car salesman, Funky Flashman from the Mr. Miracle comics that Jack Kirby did, where Funky Flashman's bald dude, but he puts on a hairpiece and all this and that, make himself look like $1 million, even though he's a schlub. That's Stan Lee. Stan Lee, he was like, oh, he's a guy about comics. No, he wanted to be, the reason his name was Stanley Lieber. The Stan Lee name was because he could disassociate himself from comics, the kiddie stuff. So when he writes the Great American Novel as Stanley Lieber, there's not the Stan Lee, the comic book guy, and Stanley Lieber, the Great American Novelist. Of course, that Great American Novelist never happened. So he had to go the rest of his life as an alias. Same thing with Jack Kirby, to that degree, Jacob Kurtzberg, or Jakob Kurtzberg. But Stan Lee basically pimped all these creations, co-creations, a lot of them, that, Iron Man, Hulk, X-Men, Spider-Man, like these, with that people like Kirby and Ditko busted their ass on. Like, for people to say, well, the writer, they did, and he was an editor too, but the people that actually doing work, the artists that never get, like, you never saw you saw Jack Kirby on that Incredible Hulk show, the Bill Bixby, Lou Ferrigno one. He was drawing a description of this of the Hulk, silent, one, like one quick thing, but then the Stan Lee just pouring himself out everywhere. So that's, that's the Stan Lee thing, but that's why all these, the TV and the movies, it's like, who wants, like, they're like, why do we really want comics when you can have the IP and turn it into a show and then put advertising on that show and get even more money you'd ever do in comics or movies, where you can make, hundreds of millions of dollars, or whatever, back in the day, and now it's $1 billion. This movie made $1 billion and all this and that. And it's not about the comics anymore because they're just sapping the life out of it. And the reason things are like the way they are is because Stan Lee sold them up a river just to get, pat on the back. It's like, I'm as you can tell, I'm not a fan of Stan Lee. I'm like, oh my God, it's the saddest day. And I'm like, whatever. Like, I mean, it wasn't like, yeah, cheering or anything. But man, that makes me, I'm really selling myself. Just like digging myself a grave.
Although I will say though, because the chat was just talking about like Spider-Gwen and whatnot. My daughter is a huge Spider-Gwen fanatic, and it's actually her favorite superhero. And I've been getting her the current storyline, the Ghost Spider storyline, and I have to say, I've read worst. It's not a bad read. You can tell it's meant more for the, more the progressive-y type.
Yeah.
But it's not the worst series I've read. The art, like, damn, Larry, sometimes that art is so beautiful, and then you get the next issue and you're like, they shit the bed hard.
Well, that's the problem right there. My little rant went off deep end, but there's a character, Spider-Girl, Mayday Parker, which is Peter Parker's daughter. It's a future from the MC2 line, which is what if story that got some legs and actually became, the book ran for over 100 issues. Series. That, I love that comic, and that's one thing. I wonder if the whole Spider-Gwen thing, because that right there, Spider-Gwen is kind of in that same category as Batgirl, the one from the Barbara Gordon Batgirl, because that Amy Pascal at Sony wanted a female Spider-Man movie. They didn't want to use Mayday Parker. They didn't want to use Spider-Woman because they didn't have Spider-Woman. That's more of a Marvel mainline. That was an MCU thing. And because the whole Hydra and all that kind of stuff. So she wanted a Spider-Man character, one of the supporting characters, to become, female supporting character, hey, Gwen Stacy, to become basically Spider-Man. And that's how, so Spider-Gwen's origins all tied to the Amy Pascal and Sony and all that stuff. So she's a corporate product, where at the end of the day, Spider-Girl is as well to a degree, because it was Tom DeFalco, Ron Frenz, and Sal Buscema, and these guys, when they were putting that character out in What If and everything. So you have to me, I'd rather them push Spider-Girl, because honestly, it's a better character. You got the older Peter Parker, you got Mary Jane, this, not the marriage, it wasn't snapped away with the deal with the devil and all that kind of stuff. But it's really fun. It's a fun comic. But it's one of these things like they push, but everybody's like, Spider-Gwen was like, yep, Robbie Rodriguez. That's a problem.
Now here's what I've learned when it comes from what I've learned with my daughter. because I pitched a lot of female superheroes her way, trying to get her into comics. And I pitched Spider Girl to her. It's the suit, the visual, and Gwen, and the visuals of Gwen. She likes the way Gwen looks as a character better, and she likes the suit better. But I'll assure you, when you read this thing, it isn't like it's just another. It's a fucking multiverse. You know what I mean? It's just another multiverse. Uh, this one they have some clever switch outs, like so like Matt Murdock, he's the Kingpin. He's actually a villain in this. You know, he's not the Daredevil. He's the Kingpin. And there's like some cool switch ups, and it's another one of those book, Larry, that it's a cool idea that's not written to be a mainstream book. It's written to be a side book for a specific reader base.
And that's the problem. Spider Girl is
You
written as
know,
a mainstream book. That's
right?
and it's meant for a general audience. Like that's the problem.
But I don't think they
Comics,
want to push mainstream characters anymore. You know, because I mean, of all the female characters to make the face, they go for Captain Marvel, which is funny because even if you kept her as Miss Marvel, her fan base isn't a diehard fan base. It's more of a, hey, I like when she shows up. She's a great filler character. You know, Miss Marvel wasn't someone you put. You know what I mean? She wasn't really, even though she had some books, she wasn't like a solo character. She just made a group book better. You know, so I feel like they're starting to take certain things, push it for certain reasons, and just kind of they're going to slowly start to disregard everything good one by one. I wouldn't be surprised. Like, I'm truly, really wouldn't be surprised if you know the next Iron Man on film is Riri Williams.
Oh, the thing about it is like they couldn't get that the black female Rocketeer off the ground, that reboot. So it's like maybe that's the reason the female. Who's to say? Like Disney said, okay, we need a black female Iron Man. Like who's to say they didn't say that to Ike Perlmutter over at Marvel? So let's make that happen. Like I have a feeling that's what happened to Sam Williams, like Sam Wilson. You know, like hey, we need new Captain America. Make Sam Wilson Falcon Captain America, so it has an option in case Chris Evans drops out. We can because Anthony Mackie takes lower paycheck. You know that case. You know it's
it kind of got me laughing as I came to the realization the other day of that was one of the most stupid ideas simply because you're giving this hero who relies on flying around, right? You're giving him an object that is essentially a target.
Yeah,
Captain America's shield is the target.
Even if you were to put it on his back or something along those lines, it still would look stupid.
It's just a fucking target.
And he's also a normal human. At least Winter Soldier had the cybernetic arm and 100 years basically of training. You know, being a Soviet assassin and being a World War II hero alongside Captain America until he got blown up.
Right.
And yeah, this guy, Winter Soldier, Bucky made sense as Cap, and like I could believe that. Like it's like a temporary Cap, of course.
I mean, I would even I've always been someone that said that should have happened years ago, and it should have happened so long ago that Bucky already gave it up to the next person. That's how I feel long ago it should have happened. But we've had this discussion on they really shit the bed on passing mantles throughout the years.
Oh, definitely. And that's one of those issues with comics in general, and that's why with the creator-owned works, like what you do, what I do, what others do, you don't have that stigma, that drop into the ball where all these editors how could you let that screw up go through? How could you let that happen? How could you let this happen? It's like you got one person to answer to, or a small team at the very most. And like this idea that we are, creating our own universes. You got your universe going on. I got mine, or the many ones I got going on. Not all of them cross over. And building upon that, we can do stuff that we're like best way to describe it, like we're nimble little boats in an ocean, where Marvel and DC are giant tankers that are rusted, their hulls are breached, and they're beached upon a shoal. They ain't going nowhere. They act like they could turn the rudder, but it ain't going to do nothing. They're stuck. They're going to sit there and rot. And unfortunately, that happens. I mean, there's people that still want oh my god, I want the '90s back. Oh, I want Jim Shooter. Like Jim Shooter ain't gonna get shit done. What the fuck are you people doing? Thinking like, oh, Marvel needs Jim Shooter to come back and he'd straighten people out. I'm like, Jim Shooter for what he did for Marvel by allowing certain stuff to happen. It wasn't like, oh, his guy. Thanks to Jim Shooter, that's why we got events every what 5 minutes at this point. Secret Wars, the first one, which had toy tie-ins and everything like that. That right there, and then
Those are cool toys, though.
yeah, true. Like, and then you had like the Superpowers comics that DC put out with older Kirby. That's some sad artwork right there. It didn't help he had Theakston as an inker, but it was just like old Kirby that this dude had like working every single day to provide for his family. Where it's like, well, there's people like, oh, he wasn't smart enough to do this, and like, I'm like, I just want to smash him in the face. It's like there's people that he comes from that generation where you busted your ass. You had to, and that's unfortunate, because that right there is like, take advantage of people, get them to do stuff for you instead. It's like I'll never be successful because I can't do that because I actually have a conscience. I might not act like it sometimes, but I do. I feel bad about things. Sometimes it gets to me, sometimes it don't, but I still feel bad about it.
Right.
And you don't have to worry about that being your own boss, or at the very least working with people that you can trust to a degree. How much can you trust another human being? But you're not just putting it into this idea of putting faith into a corporation like we'll bring one man back and everything will change. Drop the prices to $1, get Jim Shooter back. Everything's so broken. It's like Band-Aid on a bullet hole. Why I put a bandage on there? Why ain't that person getting back up and doing a dance? It's like, hey, come on. He's like, they're lying dead. Their eyes are open. Their eyes are glazed over. It's like, come on, get up, poking him with a stick. I got Jim Shooter here. Everything's gonna be fine.
I don't know. I don't know. Personally, I feel that a lot of energy is spent yelling and being angry at like Marvel and DC, but it really isn't going to go anywhere, and you're not going to do anything. I mean? You're not going to change the mind of this corporation. They're going to keep doing what they're going to keep doing until either other people take over or until money runs out, and I don't really see money running out. Money's the amount of merchandising that Marvel sells pays for anything they want to do.
Yeah, even if the comics, because I think Perlmutter still has the toys and any of that stuff. So you have the comics, like the comic sales pale in comparison to the toys and everything else. And like Disney isn't going to oh no, Marvel is going to go under. Like Disney's like putting out feelers, like, hey, who can license out these characters just to keep the IP going? We can come up with our own original creations, like variants of these characters because we own like what they did with Big Hero 6, which was an X-Men comic. Most people don't realize that was a Sunfire of the X-Men in Big Hero 6. And then the movie has hardly really nothing to do with the comic. But it's one of those kind of deals. And you see, the testing the waters at IDW, it's like, like why would they work with IDW? IDW needs as much help as they can get. Like IDW, it's like, well, if we get the Spider-Man thing, maybe we'll turn things around. It's like, who cares? At this point, like it's a lot of these companies, Dynamite stinks. I mean, all these variant covers they do, the photo variant, the cosplay photo variant, photo negative variant. It's like put the artist on the end. But the reason I don't put the interior artist because most of the time it's some third world guy who drew it in an afternoon. He cranked it out. They just colored over his pencils. It looks ugly. It's bad. Like, go flip through a Dynamite. Folks are like, why you bash Dynamite? Go flip through a Dynamite comic. Your average Dynamite comic. I'm not talking about one of the reprints. Like anything by Howard Chaykin. If Matt Wagner's writing it, it's usually really good, but the artwork's usually pretty lackluster. I mean, like this, they did get these licenses. These licenses don't come for cheap. You got to pay for these licenses, so they're not going to like put in top tier artists. They got Alex Ross on the payroll. Did you see Alex Ross do anything other than the covers? Hell no. Maybe if you're lucky, you do like a 5 or 6 pages of painted art and some kind of preview or special or something along those lines. But you don't see any like interior Alex Ross pencils or inks or full painted pages on a regular. I mean, it's just like, here we go. And I think that's the upside about you, because you do everything yourself.
Yeah.
And you can do everything yourself, even if you wanted to, like just do pencils and then like farm it out to somebody else to ink and color or whatever. You could do that, but you have done and you've proven that you can do anything you put your mind to, which is the truth.
Yeah. Yeah, and that actually gives me a really big advantage. And that's it sucks because it's gonna make it hard to keep like the whole crowdfunding thing going. You're not gonna be able to keep the like that model. It can't keep going forever because more and more people want to put out a fund. And it used to be you had like 3 campaigns going at the same time or close to another. Now you have like 15 or 20.
And that's a big thing right there. Like you have, I've seen people offer this notion of let's get together and kind of like basically as a cabal, and let's get together and like plan these things out. So when you plan on doing your thing, I'm about on March this because it's a certain date, and like, well, no, I'm planning to do mine the same day, and it's like because eventually it's like the idea of the whole free market thing, like which is good. But the downside is like you have all these people out there hands out and then chilling nonstop for 30 days or 60 days, depending on the project. It's like, please shut up. Like, and then like the shilling, once you reach your goals, like, well, we got to get this stretch goal and this 3rd stretch goal and then 4th stretch goal. I'm like, at this point, like I saw a back one book and they're doing a stretch goal thing. And I was like, they're so annoying, and the frequency of the stretch goal talk and this and that and the retweets and all this and that. I'm like, I'm tempted just like, can I get my money back? I want my, because it's getting to that point. It was being annoying. It's like, you got your money already. You got it. Just, hey, if you get stretch goal, that's icing on the cake. Now the icing is more than the cake itself at that point.
Yeah.
When you have more icing than you have cake, that's not good. That's buttery. That's fat. All that sugar. I should know. I'm a fat guy.
It hurts your mouth, all that sugar.
It does. Rots your teeth out of your heads.
Right out of your head, kid.
I could never do. I can't never do a Boston accent. Get some cheddar. Get some.
I can make it stronger when I need it to be, kid.
Please don't. Please don't. No, because no, it is fun. It's fun. I mean, it's one of those issues where. Like I'm thinking, I'd seen it happen to other people. Like I saw one person doing a project, and everything's going good, and a bigger person did a project just a few days later, and they were making money, and the new person project just like everybody was doing the whole like we got to get the word out, and like those that were like promoting this guy's project had basically stopped promoting his and started promoting this other guy, and so his project failed. Everybody else is like this project succeeded. Like more than that, and they just would not stop with the retweets and the promotion. I'm like, he got his money. You don't have to go anymore. It's like this idea is like, but we can go further. Why? It's like you plan for this amount. That means you plan for this amount. You didn't plan. That means you don't have any more space to store these books. You don't have the money, or maybe you don't have the I guess not money, but you have the money, but you don't have the ability to fulfill this in a timely fashion. This idea of waiting 6 months past the estimated delivery date to get the project to your customer's hands, and that people are okay with this. They're like, it's what crowdfunding is. You are like, it's like bending over and willingly taking, you're taking it and being like, please, sir, I want a more, I want another. It's like these people, comic fans, are so easily. Some of the like at convention hall, there's multiple halls at convention center. One of them, there was a car show. Comic convention's going on right next door. The guy goon arming his girlfriend. I mean, she was like trying to get away. There was no security around. These comic fans, these walking around in long boxes and this and that, stuff that could be implemented into a weapon, or very least they outnumbered this guy 50-1. Just stood there and then put their head down and kind of they walked away while this woman's trying to struggle to get away from. I'm the dumb one who walks up there. Get your hand off of. And I'm like, and a part of me is like, come on, guys, back me up. You see, let somebody let somebody show you the way that you can stand up to these people. You read all these, I'm like, and then nobody did. And then eventually I saw security coming. The guy let the woman go. She ran to security. The guy was staring me dead in the eyes. And I'm thinking, can I get to my car keys and stab him if he attacks me before he hurts me permanently? And that's something across my mind. And these comic fans, none of them back. Like, I'm thinking, come on, guys, back me up. At least for their sakes. Me, I've taken beatings. They're not fun. They're not fun, folks.
No. Now I want to say real quick, thank you to Custom Songmaker and Mitchell Coleman for backing Juanpool. I appreciate that. And I just wanted to say, because I mean, I ran a campaign. So I'm not going to sit here and say people shouldn't be running campaigns. And I mean, I had plenty stretch goals, but we tried to actually offer stuff per stretch goal. You know what I mean? Every time. And it was pretty much more because we had a lot of ideas. We wanted to get it out there at the same time. And by the end of it, anybody that backed the everything deal, which was only $45, we'll be getting
very reasonable. Which is
reasonable.
Mostly like what you asked for is basically what most people ask for, just the book and shipping.
Yeah. So for $45 plus the shipping, you're gonna get 2 books, the digital versions, a T-shirt, pins, all 4 trading cards, 2 posters, and a pinup, and a bonus extra half comic, which is a prelude to my next comic series, Last Call. So we try to make sure we got everybody as much as possible for the deal. And like I said, I think we had like $100 tier, and that was to get the Juanpool plushie, and we only offered 3 of those. And that was literally to pay the crafter that was making them.
Yeah, that right there, because them things do not. I looked into that, like the custom figures and everything. I got custom figures made for some old comic characters that I created, and by a person from the UK. So the shipping alone was nightmarish, but the time it took and I was happy with the build quality. It's chibi inspired because that's what she did. But I couldn't, I can't see myself asking somebody for that much money, because it would be like $80 just for the figure, because I'd have to cover the shipping, and I'd be only making like $10 profit. Barely that much, and that's just off the figure alone. And so I know what you're talking about when it comes to that, because it's just it's rough.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, like the extras, though. I mean, like you didn't skimp on that, but a lot of these projects, it's like
and no variants. It's not variants; they're extras. You were paying for extra stuff. It's not another copy of the book with a different cover. It's literally like you're gonna get a couple of posters hanging up, a pinup, the actual Juanpool logo button. You're gonna get the Radnem replica shirt. We made sure we wanted to give everybody as much as possible to show our thanks for all the extra continuous support. So our stretch goals were more like, hey, if we make it to here, this is how we'll thank you. Instead of, hey, let's get here because we want to actually try to keep it as reasonable as possible. I even what I asked for, I try to keep to basically the price of printing the books and the posters. The thank you poster featuring everybody that got a Juansona that month.
So you're actually showing, you're actually showing your customers, because they are customers. I mean, it's like people act like this is a charity. Like, you're making dreams come true. Like, honestly, fuck your dreams. Fuck your dreams in the eye and in the ass with two middle fingers. This is a business. You run a fucking business. Like, what, you know what? Screw it. A while back, I was one of the first early adopters of the whole. When Red Rooster came out, I was excited for it. I was like, you know what? I like this. I mean, I remember reading that Captain America Chosen book. I'm like, okay, I'm pretty down with that. It's like, well, it's because it was written by David Morrell, the guy who wrote First Blood, the novel. And I was like, okay, I'm down with this. And so when all this hype for them, this character I'm working with 10 years, I'm like, okay, that's cool. I mean, I've had stuff like I have like movies and TV shows, or especially TV shows, have something called a Bible. It's basically like whoever's the viewer, reader, or whatever will never probably ever see this Bible, but it's like the background, where the person comes from, what they did, like where you can, put, like we could pull from for inspiration for where the story leads. So I was excited for it. The crowdfunder drops, and it's like 9 months. Estimated delivery 9 months. What's the deal with this? And so I asked Mitch. I said, "Hey, Mitch, what's the deal with Well, I actually hold on a second. I actually have the tweet. I screen capped this because I was like, something told me like it's 60 pages, and then it's like it's going to take 9 months. Like something didn't seem right about that. Because if this is a character you've been sitting with for like 10 years, why would it take that long? And it's one of those issues where like professional comic creators, comic artists, they usually, people don't realize this, but the main reason they don't promote their corporate gigs, because they don't have to. They get paid up front. They get paid months in advance. Oh, the book doesn't sell. Like how do these artists keep getting gigs? Because the book is already basically, they've already been paid for a book that hasn't been sold. Yeah. I mean, I would be like, dude, you're not only is the feedback, which would go either way on, is not good, but you ain't being helpful supporting the book and promoting it and like that kind of stuff. Like the simple, you expect to be simple, but of course it's not. But I'm gonna find this screen cap because I'm very interested in sharing it, to say the least. But yeah, come on. But yeah, it's
no, but I mean, there are a lot of campaigns going on, and another thing that bothers me too is a big campaign can destroy several smaller campaigns in one hit.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
So if you got like 4 or 5 smaller books coming out, and just that one right person comes out at the same time, boom, done. You got 5 failing campaigns. And it's kind of sad to see sometimes, because it's like good guys that, what I mean? Guys that I talk to, guys that I help out, guys that I contribute things to, and it's like, it's tough. Hell, sometimes I even think I did so good. I only did so good because Juan Poole had already been out. So people already knew what they would be getting with the physical.
Yeah, you put out the preview pages. You actually showed that you were working on something, not just sketches, not just like sketches and like random images. And then you put it out there, digital sales. And then there's, that right there, the fact that you actually did it, you talked about it, you actually came through with it. You know how many people talk is cheap. You actually came through with it. And I was so happy to see that you're actually you didn't, like there's a lot of people that start stuff and never finish it. You're actually working towards finishing that. And dude, it's like a lot of people say, oh, that's just half the battle. Like, it is, but you're actually doing it and dealing with all the stuff you got to deal with too. I'm like, bravo, man.
Well, I mean, you got to, if you want, you got to do the work. Get the work done. Get the work done. I mean, me myself, I'm late, but I'm trying to bust ass to get over that and get past that, and I also have 2 other books I'm working on for other people. So it's not like, oh, you ain't doing nothing with yourself. Well, I'm trying. I just bit off a little more than I could chew because, I missed the Mahvel, and I just thought I had it like that. Lesson learned, and you work hard and you get things out there, and I'm going to hopefully get everything out as soon as possible. And that's just the name of the game. Just finish it. Uh, People are very forgiving as long as they know you're working on it. They could see work getting done and they see that you're putting work towards it. Um, because at the end of the day, everybody's very understanding of yeah, you know what? These things take a while.
Oh, they
Uh,
do. And
Even like Wampool, you can look at the first issue and you can see the first 5-page preview that I put out. And I mean, I beefed up the art incredibly, so the time it took me to produce the pages on Wampool took me half the time on one of these pages. Because I'm trying to really push myself artistically, really push what you can get per panel, to paint a bigger story. Because now, now you're going to be involving more of the world outside of Juan.
yeah, and also
Where,
you want to offer bigger and better to customers. You don't want to just
exactly.
you don't want to half-ass it, and that's another thing. It's like, oh, I found that tweet. Let me do share screen. Let's see, share screen. Yes, I'd like to share. Oh, come on. Let's see. Let me see. All right, is it sharing? Do you see that? Probably not. Hold on. Boomer Larry. Entire screen. Yes. Share. Okay. All right. You should be able to see that right there. That right there is a tweet dated 5 July 2018. Mitch Breitweiser. I'm wondering why the time frame to delivery of the book is so far away. Under promise and over deliver. I hope to push up the date. That was on July 5th, 2018. Yes, push up the date. But no, did push up the date equate to, hey, we got the Futurists coming up and a Futurist art book and Futurist. Red Rooster, what's that? Oh yeah, the contest. Remember the contest, everyone? The art contest, which I was dumb enough to waste time producing artwork for. So fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, won't get fooled again. So
You already fooled me. You can't fool me again.
dodge a shoe, like dodge his thrown shoe. Like, they should do? The Brightweiser compound should have a big old sign saying "Mission Accomplished."
Yeah. I learned really early not to follow or push much bigger artists than me.
I learned that a little too late. You kind of in some ways you beat around the bush a bit. Sometimes you're just outright blunt, which I love. I understand. Like, maybe there's days like, yeah, maybe I just. This is my perception of how you do things. Like some days you're just like, yeah, but should I go full tilt? Maybe not today. And then some days you're just off what they say, off the chain.
Yeah.
And you're just biting everyone. It's like, whoa, chill out, foam coming out of your mouth. But it's just like, yo, dude, I'm your friend. Calm down. And I learned the hard way. It's like it's like you can be cordial, but at the end of the day, they're competition.
Right. And they don't.
People, oh, sorry.
Like, they don't. They're not gonna. And I don't say this in a disparaging way, and I don't say it negatively, but they're not gonna push people that could be competition to them. And I get that. And that's why I just started doing my own thing and building my brand, and and pushing Wampool and getting the Marvelverse started. And that's what I the advice I give everybody, because even, if you have me retweeting things, and I have no problem retweeting for people, but at the end of the day, the stuff that people like and share and respond to coming from me is Wampool stuff. So you got to build up.
You
have to build up. You have to build it up. That's half the game. A lot of people want to just come out. Oh, I had this project going. I got a campaign. You chill out, relax, build your audience. Which is another problem. People see the success of someone's campaign and they're like, all right, I'm ready. I'm launching. Let's go. They don't make anywhere near their goal and they're like, what the fuck happened? Everybody abandoned me. Well, bro, I mean, just because some people have been liking your tweets for the last month doesn't equal a fan base. You have to build it. And even now, I'm still constantly hustling. Going back to the earlier joke of if I had, what the hell my sexuality is, it's whatever I need it to be to make my joke work.
You're Winston Zedmore from Ghostbusters. It's like, if there's a steady paycheck involved, I believe whatever you want me to. That kind of
deal. Is the joke this week that I'm a chick version of? I still have female pronouns on my Twitter. Certain gags, they just go well. You have to make an audience. You have to find your niche, and that's it. I made my audience. I have a way that I entertain them. And no matter how much I promote other people, at the end of the day, my audience predominantly just responds to my stuff. And that's my advice for people. You have to build an audience that responds to your stuff before you go launching big things. When I put Wampool out digitally, it was literally a no risk move. The worst had happened. The worst risk was people see it, they don't like it, and that's it. I have to abandon the idea. But there was no pay involved. The worst case scenario.
You were actually putting your, you're putting your neck out there, but not really.
Right.
Because this thing about this, it's like kind of like a phantom neck. You're putting it out there. If things go well, then you can continue doing that right there. You can continue making that happen.
Right.
And if it didn't, it's like no, it's a loss, but it isn't like I sunk everything into this. It's like those that think, like I want to build an IP franchise, I'm going to make a movie, I'm going to do this and that, and like your movie and cartoon and video game is going to be on Steam, and like you're being just focused on making a good comic on time. Your backers are basically producers. They're like not even like Mitchell Coleman's like they're like an editor. I don't see him as an editor. I see if I back a project, I'm basically like a producer. I'm usually like pretty laid back. I'm not gonna tell a writer artist. I'm like, like, hey man, you need to do that. You need to put this in Wampool. You need to do that in Wampool. I'm not gonna do that. Like, there's people that will try. I guarantee it. But I'm like, just like don't take 5 years. Like take time, because a lot of people, like I said earlier, comic fans are so used to being abused. Well, if they want their money, they can ask for it back. All I wanted from the Brightwisers was an answer. Like, hey, can you give me just a rough estimate? Like they're telling you nothing.
You know what? Let me cut you off real quick because I wanna expand on what you just said. If they want their money back, they can just ask for it. It's usually used in a very weaponized way because they say it in a way that kind of gets that person dogpiled on.
Exactly.
I don't know if you've ever caught that, but people that are dissatisfied and they're like, I want my money. All right, well, you could just fucking take it back. You don't have to fucking keep on if you don't want the product. And next thing you know, fan bases are coming over. Oh, you're just being a pussy. Oh, fuck you. All right, well, then take it. Oh, you just don't know what great. And I've seen it a lot of times. You know what I mean? And
you get the they're not your art monkey. Just because you paid them some money doesn't mean they have to do what you say when you say it. I've seen that happen too. But that's the thing. They weaponize even trying to get, like, you're running a business. So imagine you go get a burger, and I'm like, hey, this burger's undercooked. You got spit in it because it looks like I see the bubbles. It looks like a condom wrapper. What is this? What is this thing? So see this guy, he don't want that burger. Everybody else is enjoying their burger. Well, no, not even that, because you actually have a burger in hand. I have nothing. I had nothing. I was like, hey, what's percentage of pencils? You have pencils done? How about the inks? What's going on? I see a page, and that tells me nothing. I see pin up images and this and that. That tells me nothing. Like, tell me, like, hey, when I've been posting about Neon Trash, I've been like, hey, I got, there's more pencils done. Hey, the pencils are done. Working on the cover now. I'm actually kind of like, priming the pumps, as it were. Whether I take this to Indiegogo or not, I'm priming the pumps, like showing, yes, I'm actually making progress. And the fact that people that worked in the corporate industry, you got to tell me that editors and like, where are you at with this? Where's the book at? It's like, maybe the fact that they weren't working there, or Mitch wasn't, or the whole Ethan thing he admitted that he got removed from X, and he got his contract taken, kind of ripped up by Joe Quesada, because like, dude, you're too late, you're slow. It's like that kind of thing. It's like maybe these people are just, it isn't like, just slow. You can't produce on time. It's like, give me a Ron Friends, give me a John Romita Jr. was drawing Amazing Spider-Man and the Incredible Hulk back to back, and that's like back in the early 2000s when they were kick ass. Even though the Moreland stuff and the Spider Totem, I'm not a big fan of, but the Bruce Banner on the run of the shaved head, like when like that was about some good stuff. And he had Lee Weeks art coming on to that book. That's the Bruce Jones written stuff. That's the Bring Back the Monster with Carrie Andrews covers, which is weird because Carrie Andrews was doing both Amazing Spider-Man covers and Hulk covers at the same time with John Romita interiors. It was weird. It was a weird time at Marvel, but I loved it. Love those books. But everybody hates John Romita Jr. They think his art's ugly. Whatever. But they've never seen him really on Spider-Man. I grew up with that his Spider-Man stuff, especially when he was drawing Kane, the Spider clone. His name was Kane, and he had burns, and he had like long hair, and this predates the Kane in WWF.
Oh yeah.
Which is weird. It's like, because Russo and all them guys, like they were comic book movie and stuff fans like that. That's why everything went all comic booky. Like the WWE, like that's why it kind of resonated with the Attitude Era. I don't think
best era too.
Do you remember? Like, most people don't remember this, or they admit they don't want to admit it. Do you remember when Val Venus was messing with the Yakuza girl, and then they tried to cut off his penis in a boiler room?
Your beating.
Yes.
Yes! Oh, I remember. What was his name? The little the Japanese buzzsaw. What was his name?
Oh God!
He went down and he grabbed her. He's like, "This is sister. This is my sister."
Oh my God! I forgot his name.
You remember that, right?
I remember. I remember all the little
Takamichinoku.
Oh my God!
His name was Takamichinoku, was it?
I think so. I'd have to look that up. But yeah, that's like, see, stuff like that. Like that kind of visceral entertainment. Like, you don't get that nowadays. Like, everything's so milquetoast and safe. It's like with Neon Trash, what I'm working on now. Because I've done a kind of a mock-up cover a while back, like what I wanted to go with. And that's basically what I'm doing. I'm just doing a high-res, finalized version of it. Updating the pencils and some stuff like that. But it's taking a little longer than I expected because I'm working, like I bitched about it like earlier to you, the whole vector thing. And working vector art, and I'm like, oh, how do I just do rasterized? But making comics in this fashion and doing, comics that are visceral. Like this book, like I realized, like this is not going to be something I could hand to like a kid's going to be buying. Like, oh my God, I read whatever Dave Pilkey. He's like one of these guys that does has Scholastic comics. He's like one of these Perch talks about a lot with him and that Raina Telgemeier. Like these people, I could never intentionally, like at this current state, I could never intentionally make a comic geared towards like this, elementary school kids. I don't know what they'd like. Me, I loved Ditko Spider-Man. My school had a hardcover. It was hardcover collection of the first, like, say, 5 or 6 issues of the Ditko Lee Spider-Man. And it had, like, the Enforcers and the Scorpion and Vulture and all that kind of stuff, Doc Ock or whatever. I think it might have been random issues. But I'd never seen this thing on sale before. I loved that and the Godzilla book they had, and the Frankenstein and Wolfman and all these, like, these like books about those. I was like, this dog man or dog boy, whatever it's called, fart humor, art's not good. I'm like, I love looking at Ditko art. To me, that's infantilizing towards kids. Like, like who wants to be? It's like promoting a Robin comic to people. Nobody wants to be sidekick. Make the hero. Kids want to be the hero, boys and girls. They want to be the hero of the story. They want to read about the hero. They want to read about. It's like The adventures of this knight, but you read his squire. You're gonna read about the squire. I will get you your sword, master. I will get you the horse blanket. I will get you this, like that kind of thing. It's like, what are you doing? It's I think give kids something better, but what do I know? I mean, I don't have kids. I don't know how Scholastic does. And also, it's like breaking into the whole Scholastic thing. Good luck. They probably you thought probably like tight circle with the Marvel and DC creators. God knows how tight the Scholastic circle is.
Oh, right. It's got to be really super, super, super. But that's what, once again, I get back to you got to do your own thing these days.
Exactly. And you're doing your own thing. And like, I look forward to whatever you got coming out after Wanpool. And I mean, like, even further past that, because I know you got some collabs going on behind the scenes, some stuff like that. Well, I heard rumbling in the past. I don't know if that's going to still go down. Crossovers and like
still going down. I still got a huge amount of plans. And everything I put out gets me a little closer to when I can make tattooing my part-time and comics my full-time.
And I want that for you, man.
I mean? It's still vice versa. And hell, oh man, Larry, has it been busy these last few weeks and months?
That's good though. Busy means good for you.
Busy means great, but busy tattooing means less comic time.
Unfortunately, but it's like one of those things. It's like it's kind of feast or famine, though, right? Sometimes you get busy, and sometimes there's a lull. But you got to take like kind of take it where you got to take it where you can, man.
Absolutely.
But then also like in that lull of being able to draw and be able to make comics, you can hone and refine ideas. I found that to be the case in my part. Like if I'm stuck doing something that isn't doing comics or working on a comic, I can refine an idea. Like I had an idea for this monster, and it was like okay idea, and I was doing some very intense physical labor outside in a nice hot supposed to be spring that is in North Carolina, and the idea just kind of like the pieces like it got exploded apart in my mind and then got put back together in the way it should work, and I was like, oh, that's great, and it made the what I was doing like go take no time at all, go very smoothly. So when I could write the idea down and sketch it out, I had no problems. Like I usually keep a little sketch pad on me pretty much everywhere I go. So it's like I not one of those moleskins. I use like one from Walmart for like a couple dollars. It's a little hardcover. I usually use a ballpoint pen.
Yeah.
But it's like this stuff like that. Thinking these ideas out, putting some thought into it. Sometimes when you're doing something like I guarantee you, like idea comes to you. There you go. Put it down on paper. And these ideas, people are like, where do you get your ideas? Like when somebody says that, they have no imagination. That tells me they have zero imagination.
I get them. Honestly, most of my ideas happen on the spot. I have a fucking knack for conceptualizing. I mean, just about any idea that I can conceptualize on the spot. Had a fun like little back and forth on Twitter talking about like I think it was conceptualizing a game. A Legend of Zelda spin-off game for the little weird ferryman Tingle. And I mean, within 10 minutes, I had a full game almost conceptualized. It just kind of comes, you gotta.
Yeah, that's the same here.
Some people don't, you gotta be able to take ideas and grow them and grow past the main character. Some people's flaws are their whole story is just that one main character. So it gets boring because it can never get away from the one main character. And a good comic has a good cast of characters. Any good comic. Like, for example, my favorite comic series, Spawn. It wasn't just about Al Simmons. You had Terry Fitzgerald. You had Wanda. You had the grandmother. You had Jason Wynn. You had
Cyan. You had
you had all these other companies. You had Cygor constantly after him. You had Verkill that was trying to get him. You had Angela come. It was a great cast. Sam and Twitch. Jesus Christ. Some of the best issues are the ones that focus on just Sam and Twitch. And people aren't building their worlds out. They're sticking with their one main character. And I'm not going to exactly say there's a lot of Mary Sue's, but there's a lot of series right now that rely on this character that's always the focus.
Yeah, you could take Spawn out of the book and it'd still be a great book. I mean, you got Jason Wynn running around, and you had Angela, you had demons, you had angels, you had all this stuff. Yes, the story, you had to have Spawn, that that version of the story, but you could do that story without Al Simmons and that Spawn, because you had Cagliostro, you had and you had all this this history, and like the world felt very much alive, and I love that. It's like everybody's like, "Oh, McFarlane," I used to be a big fan of McFarlane, and kind of like, yeah, it was like, because everybody was like, it was cool to hate on the Image guys, and then after all the dust is settled, I'm like, I was so wrong. I was like, my two favorite, my top three is not who you'd think. It's McFarlane, it's Sam T, and it's Willis Portacio, and like that's about it's a weird three to have. Everybody's like, oh, Jim Lee, people like Rob Liefeld has like these crazy ideas. Go read Wetworks. It's like basically the team from Commando. It's basically the team from Commando that you don't get to see, the one that Bennett's a part of, and John Matrix is a part of. Like that, like John Matrix is. Everybody's like, well, don't you mean Predator? No, the team from Predator got their asses handed to them one by one by an alien. These are basically the team ultimate badasses who get covered in metal, gold metal symbiotes. They fight vampires. They got werewolves. It's like the team. It's like John Matrix versus a werewolf. It's in a vampire. Like, what? Giant guns, shiny metal. That beats any Rob Liefeld idea. I mean, everybody's like, "Oh, Rob," and Willis Portacio is one of those so underrated. The dude, like, one of the reasons he didn't like his book Wetworks didn't come out like right off the bat. It was promoted and everything. He had a sister dying of cancer, I believe. It was cancer, but it was sister dying, and he had to take time out. Luckily enough, with the money he made, I guess the money he made from Marvel and all that other stuff was able to, like allow him the time to be there. And so I think that right there kind of that. Taking the time out for family and for someone you love kind of hindered because his post-Marvel career. Because at that time, people forget, he was on the sister book of X-Men. He was on Uncanny while Jim Lee was on standard, just adjectiveless X-Men. And then you got Larry Stroman's probably a better known artist than Willis Portacio. And it's unfortunate because like Willis is like especially when he did Stormwatch Team Achilles many years later. Though the book has kind of got a bad reputation because the writer he had stolen valor. He said he was like an Army Ranger, and then he started doing this anti-Iraq war propaganda. Which now in hindsight, it's like you got to be for the war. Yeah, I don't know about all that. I was like a little. Yeah, I don't know about this, guys. It's like, but he got fired because the truth came out, and basically the book got buried because of that. And so Willis was unintentionally attached. He was like, he was attached to the book because he was the artist, and so, kind of any, burying of that book, he got caught up in it as well, which is unfortunate. But hey, it happens. But these guys that would produce amazing work. And the visual stylings and make them worlds come alive. And you do the same thing. Like hey, did you catch this in the background? I'm like, dude, you got so much stuff going on. It's like, it's got a little Ginger Dread action in the background, man. It's like, oh, I'm just like so much like sensory overload.
Yeah, I like to pack stuff. I mean, Wampo too is I've been trying to get an Easter egg in every page if possible.
Yeah, I do stuff like that too from time to time, but then I'm like just so focused on just getting the page done. Mm-hmm. And with Neon Trash, I put so much effort. This for Storm Warning, the one that's coming out, the 40-page one. It's I put so much effort into the pages, like the detail. Like I wasn't like thinking about putting little Easter eggs in there at the time. I was like, maybe when I'm inking, I'll have time to do that. Like this is like I treat the pencils like it's you put the skeleton up first. You put and then you put the meat on the bones, and hopefully everything goes smoothly. Hopefully the inking takes less than the pencils, because I was not only just penciling it, I don't really when I work my own, I don't write a script. The reason, if I write a script off the bat, that means I got to follow my own words. That means I got to listen to myself. I can't.
Yeah.
So like I have like, oh, I can't change it because I have to go in and change the script. So I basically plot on the fly. I do like an over plot. Like I have a beginning and ending and middle in mind, and a
I'm
general.
very similar. I'm actually very similar.
Yeah, because
Uh,
you like to keep it fluid as well. You like to
right.
keep like to allow for improvement and or shortcuts, right?
Yeah. Because to be honest, I never really know what I want to do until I get to the page. And the page kind of creates itself. And I really like the result I get doing it that way.
Yeah, it's like I think there's something kind of loose and freeing when you do it. Like when I've seen seeing your pages, like you could see that you're not this. Like you've seen those artists; they're very mechanical. Like, you could tell like this thing's really rigid, and your art is not the exact opposite of rigid, which is good. It's very loose. It's not that extremely sketchy, scratchy, loose that kind of loose, but it's you can tell that you didn't like have to think out. It's not like an Alan Moore kind of comic where his writing was so tight, and so the artist had to stick to that, and so the
Yeah,
artist had no room to play. Like you have fun when you do your comics. You have
absolutely.
fun, and I think that's comics should be fun. This idea that you got to have a message, man. Like technically, I have a message in Neon Trash, other than it's an entertaining comic. There, because I mean, it accidentally happened. I wasn't like, this story is going to mean this. It's going to be that kind of thing. I didn't go into it like that. It just happened. It just came into existence like that. And I think to me that's like a happy accident. I like that. It's like you become Bob Ross, you know. But these people that focus on the message, I think that's where a lot of people get lost. It's like the idea of having a story with some heart. You can have that and to be fun, because it's like this idea of like the one of the most boring things I'd ever read. I got it for $1, and my local comic book store at the time, it's been like 10 years ago now, no more than that. It was like 2007, and this shop would get these comic books in, and some of them be like basically sent in like, hey, here's the first issue of our comic. Basically blind solicits to the store itself. They'd send out, basically mail out first issues, and I cover price is like $3.50, but I got it for $1. It was basically Fight Scene the comic book, like everything that like there's like 32 pages total, about 27, 28 of them was like I think it was like 28 were story, and then there's like it was all black and white. It had that glossy interior and that really sticky glossy, that
Yeah.
which is like, I guess, oh, this is hotness, it's gloss, it means it's good. Like, no, it doesn't. That gloss don't mean jack. It was just Fight Scene the comic. It was, at least in like a Jackie Chan, like it's film, you get to enjoy. You go, oh my god, Jackie did this crazy thing, or you watch him, I don't know, some kind of Sonny Chiba film or something along those lines, and you can enjoy that for what it is because it's on film. But on a comic book page, you just see panel, 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 ain't much difference. Throwing punches, kicks, speed lines, and that's it for 20 plus pages, like 21 pages. It was like fight scenes. If I could find this comic, I don't even know if I have it anymore, because I remember getting rid of some stuff. I was like, hey man, here's some comics. This guy went to a flea market and sold some of his comics. I was like, hey, here's some stuff. If you make money, just buy me a box of like Snickers ice cream bars.
Right.
And because he worked at a Walmart, Sam's Club. And it was one of those kind of deals. I was like, that right there, like, fight scenes can be boring without the context. You got to have like a meaning to it. And if it's like a 200-page manga, you can do fight scenes for 20 pages, no big deal. That's most of like Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z especially. But if you have no context, you have no heart to it, it's pointless. Blind action, and same thing with nudity for no reason. It's like, yeah, it looks pretty, but it's like swimsuit issues and pinup stuff. It's like, I gotta have something, like, give me a reason. Like if somebody asked me to do a pinup, like say a friend or somebody commissions me one, I could do it. Doesn't mean I like be enthused about it. Depends on the project, but most of the time I'm like not enthused. I can make it happen, but to me it's like not really pulling teeth. It's like having to wash dishes and a pot that's one of the dishes is a pot that's been stood out for a little too long, and everything's been crusted in there. So I got to give a lot of elbow grease to get the crust out, to wash it and then dry it and put it up, and it's like just boring.
Right.
It's work and it's boring and it's not fun. And even with the radio on, as you can tell, I wash a lot of dishes, but yeah, it's one of those deals. But but you seem to take to it like like a duck to water. I mean, when it comes to pinups and everything, and I mean, you're great at it. I mean, hell, like I mean, how many projects has been out there where you've done a pinup or something like promo materials for? Like, dear God.
I see. I like that stuff. I like the one and done more than sequential. Because it's one and done and see you later. Sequentials is they're sequentials. You know what I mean? And when you're not dealing with fight scenes, it's sometimes it can be tough. Um, Finding the amount of visuals to be able to break dialogue up into several panels, if that makes sense. Like I hate huge dialogue bubbles. I hate over cramping a page, so I try and break them up per the panels, and then at that point you're like, well, I have to fucking show what's happening as they're talking, and that can be a pain in the ass. But when it's a pinup, you're like, all right, here's this one scene, here's this one freeze frame. I can focus all my energy on this, get all the little bit of detail, and that's it.
That's very 90s image of you. I have the single page, like the pinup style image. Just as long as they double page, vertical spread. I hate those with a passion.
Although I don't really like splash pages in my own stuff though. I think Bumpful, the first issue only had one splash page. So far, I mean, I guess I've gotten a splash page in there, but there's still another panel on page, plus dialogue. So it's not a like full on detail splash. Look at me, you can sell me as a poster later. It's more of like a big panel with a nice size insert.
Yeah,
Which I still say that's different. One big panel is different than a splash page, and you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like I've done something like that too. I've done a couple of splash pages. Neon Trash is like at least one splash page off the top of my head. There's 40 pages to keep track of. I try not to. I saw the pages in my dreams, and I didn't have to. It like made sleeping rough because it's like, damn, I could get up and finish this page. I started working on it. Like, visualize it in your mind. Yeah, that's great and all, but when you're trying to sleep, you're still visualizing it, and so you're trying to. You're still trying. Like I'm at dreams. There's a couple of nights where I was at the drawing table in my dreams. I was still drawing, or on the computer, drawing it in there, and then I wake up and I'm like, I didn't do that page, did I? No, that was a dream. Damn it! It's like trying to get stuff done. It's like I mean I've never I've had a dream. I've never sleptwalked that I know of, but one time I was staying at the old family homestead that was built in the probably the 1900s, 19 teens. My great grandfather built it for my great grandmother he was gifted land after he married into my great great grandmother's family. Gifted land, and sorry, no, he got land from his father after he married my great grandmother, because that was their little valley they owned. This little valley in the mountains. He built the house and everything was custom. Everything, like, because his wife, both him and my great grandfather, my great grandmother, both of them were over 6 foot tall. There were some tall people.
Oh, geez.
They were like, she was like 6'1" and he was like 6'3", and I'm thinking, this back in the day. Normally, people, like, when you look back in the past, people were usually pretty small because they didn't have enough. They weren't getting enough nutrients. They weren't like tall. Like, you look back in the days, like, they weren't that tall people. I guess because being in a very verdant valley and everything, and they had cattle and chickens and all this and that, and they didn't go hungry, but they weren't fat people. They were just big, tall people, like giants, in comparison. And I was staying in the house, and so there's more than a few people have died in that house too. And I don't know. So I was having a dream where I was fighting. It was like like in like remember the putties from Power Rangers?
Yep. Yeah.
I was basically fighting putties in the house, but it was daytime in the dream, and the house is it's tall, but it ain't wide. And so you don't have to be a really big person, but you have to, somewhat broad shoulders. You can like nick your shoulders on the sharp edges of the doors of the frames. And in my dream, I was fighting like the putties, and it kept trying to close the door on me. Like they punch at me and then close the door on me. Like I have to open the door and punch at them. So in my dream, apparently I opened the door from the hallway to the main door, and I threw a punch. And in reality, I woke up when my knuckles hit the wall next to the bed, and I skinned my knuckles to the point where I had the antibiotics on there, hydrogen peroxide antibiotics, because I was bleeding. I punched the wall so hard I split my knuckle because it's this slatted wood wall. So it's like seeing that stuff happen. It's like I was like, how am I going to explain this? Oh yeah, I was fighting some putties in a dream, and I woke up punching a wall.
Oh man.
It's so weird, but yeah, I've never gotten ideas from. I never really got ideas from dreams. Usually, it's you know, usually it's like just more of a hassle than anything.
Only time I had it, I typically, whenever I have dreams of doing art or anything, they're usually bad dreams, and not like scary, but frustrating, where I can't
Oh, I echo
accomplish
that.
the task, and it's just so. Ugh. Um. Uh. But the ones I hate the worst, believe it or not, uh, are the ones where I'm trying to play a video game and it's just not letting me. And it's tough to describe, but it's like I'll just have a dream where I'm sitting in front of the screen and I'm trying my hardest to make the character do something and it isn't working.
I
And
see. I get that though. I get that. You're trying to make it happen, and it just won't. It's just like that. Come on, just move, damn it! Just do what you're supposed to do. Move, like Happy Gilmore yelling at the golf ball. Go to your home. Oh dear God. But yeah, I echo that, man.
yeah,
But we touched on something earlier, and I kind of wanted to come back to it with the multiple crowdfunding books at the same time. And as a person, because luckily you've said in the past, like you know, luckily you got you worked with Josh. You know,
yeah,
Josh was there to help. You know, like as a midwife.
pretty much. He's my publisher.
There you go. And it's that right there. I don't think there's other people like he ran that thing real well. I'd say so.
Yeah, no, he kicked ass. He kicked a lot of ass. And the success of that campaign, I actually give completely 100% of him. I really was just the pretty face in that. Um, very thankful, very thankful. Um, it's funny because he didn't come to me; I went to him.
Yeah,
And I
like
think that's
that right
why.
there. Like, if anybody comes to me like, "Hey, let me run your campaign or something," I'd be like, "I don't know about that." Even if they got a decent track record, I'd still have my the the hairs will be standing up. My ears will be perked. It's like, this might be dangerous.
No, and I'm with you, because I'm not because, and it's happened all throughout my life. Even before I got into digital artwork, making comics on Twitter and whatnot. Um, there's always been people that wanted out of nowhere been like, "Hey, man, I got a great idea and I want to be your manager." Probably not. Because your idea involves me working and you making money. So get the fuck out of here.
And that's another thing, like the whole idea of ownership and being able to do your own thing. I've had people pitch me projects, and I'm like, some of these projects, like it's almost embarrassing, and not because of like these people. If they were like 20, like young, like they just right out of school or something like that. like, oh, I got this idea, and like all they've watched is cartoons and just like not a lot of cartoons, like they have like nothing, there's no real life experiences. There's no their kind of imagination is lacking, to say one thing. And the idea is like I've had stuff pitched to me, and I'm like, how I want to be rude, but I can't be because it's just like that's mean. But the other thing is like I don't know if they'd get it. Like just the fact that I'm like, yeah, this is not my kind of project. No, thank you. And I've had people like, well, how about like I value myself pretty well. I'm not some top tier professional artist, but I have standards.
Yeah.
And I've had people lowball me, expecting me to, like jump on it, like, oh my god, yeah, I'll take that. Oh, thank you for the work. And it's like I'm gonna have to be in charge of the promotion of the book. I will, I will not own anything. The person basically told me this outright. It's like, oh, I'll own all, like all IP, all the copyright to everything will be mine. But I'd have to do the pencils, inks, colors, and letters. That they would be getting somebody else to do the cover, which was that right there. That was nice to know. So it's like not my cover. They didn't want my cover art, so we hire somebody else. So it's like so it made me think like I was like the dynamite artist. I was the shit artist with the fancy cover, and then like all on top of that, only was going to pay me $50 a page, and that's everything. That's the pencils, inks, colors, and letters, all for $50 a page. Now you think, wow, you just do 2 pages, it's $100. You do 20, you're making bank. It's like, no, you don't understand how much work that is to do the pencils, the inks, the colors, the letters, and promote it, and have no stake, no financial stake in it. Because that's the thing, I want you to promote it as well. Like at least they were upfront about it, but I'm not going to do that. No matter how like even if the idea was good, I'm like, I don't own this idea. I have no say. I'm a gun for hire. You tell me to shoot, I shoot. I'm not supposed to question. It's like, but I like to question things. I like to work with. If I want to work with somebody, I like to be able to work with them, like suggest ideas. Hey, this is all good and all on paper. Your script is good. Like I say, it's great. It's good, but it doesn't work. What you described does not then the person would be crossing over their own path. The angle would look weird to make it even look like, or I'd have to add extra two or three panels to make it work. But you said you only want it in this many panels, and it's already at 7. How are we going to make this? I've had that happen, and then I've had people that are open, like, okay, yeah, I didn't think about that. Be open to suggestions, and then I've had people like, no, make it work. All right, fine. And so at that point, I kind of give up and just do it. It's like whatever, and I'm unsatisfied with it. And if they get, I'm like, hey, you told me to make it work. I made it work. It doesn't look right because that's what you wanted. That is your script. Go in for script and look at the page. And I mean, it's like, customer's always right. That's what you tell them. That's what you tell the public. Customer's always right. They're not always right, but that's neither here nor there.
No, I feel you. I hear you. It's tough. Handling other people's stuff, it's tough. It's really tough.
Yeah, it's like I mean, if you get somebody that's willing to give you, like some kind of back end deal or co-ownership, maybe give you allow you to put some input on it. But, you're not. Why go after me? Go get somebody off of DeviantArt. Go get somebody that is going to be eager to take orders. I couldn't even get through JROTC without giving up. There was a guy, he went to a JROTC summer school or summer camp, and he came back at a higher rank than I was in the following semester. And he giving me saying I did some infractions where I'd have to do push-ups and I'd have to do this and that. And I got to the point, I'm like, screw you, man. It's like it was like like friendly fire incident almost, getting to that point. And he was just like, oh, you did this wrong, you did that wrong, you get 20 push-ups and this. I'm like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, I get the instructors, the teachers, the class. I'm like, he's having me do this, like breaking kayfabe, as it were. This is save the military. This is a class, and it's like you tell it's like you need to follow orders. I'm like, what are you talking about? And so I just gave up. It's like I'm not gonna do that. But yeah, I'm not good at following orders. So
Hmm.
that's why I like the little bit of leeway room, especially when you're being creative. Like I mean, this idea of like artists are some artists can be like machine like. They can just do whatever. Like, and part of me kind of appreciates that. It's like, you know what, that person could do. You put that on the paper, and they do that to the T. I
Yeah,
appreciate that, but I can't do that. I need some wiggle room. I need to be able to to freestyle it, to go off road. But yeah,
I'm
it's just unfortunate.
I put my best attempt, and if it doesn't work, I'll say something. Uh, and usually at that point, like I've gotten good at wording it in a way that it's like I can kind of get people to realize, like, hey, you know what I mean? I'm just trying to get this speech to work. And for the most part, I don't know. And you always hear me say the same words. I've just been lucky.
Yeah,
Like I've just been lucky. I work with really great dudes that kind of look for me for that extra artistic opinion. Uh, so I don't really ever get that hard a time with people, but I could see where you're coming from.
yeah. It's you get lucky. You're lucky in that department, and I'm glad. Me, I'm as I've said before. I think I said before on the stream. I'm a tribe of one. I'm like I don't want to call myself a lone wolf because that's what they call them shooters.
Yeah,
It's like he was a lone wolf
right.
because and it's like the problem with packs is like you get it with a pack and it seems all well and good and then one of the members of the pack starts doing something stupid and then if you break off from that pack then you get then it's like you're isolating yourself from others because of just one person. So it's kind of hard. It's just easier to associate with others, but you know, don't get don't just hop into anything just to be a part of be a part of a group. And it's like there's people that will try to try to take advantage of you if you can draw, and if you draw halfway decent, there's gonna be somebody out there, some writer to take advantage of you. I've said it before. No matter if they're pros or up and comers, indie people, if a writer can take advantage of an artist, they will. I mean, the writer wants their ideas put to paper, not the artists. Now, you get some that are not like that. I guarantee it. There's some that are not like that. But my experience is like it's been a very negative experience, associating with comics writers. There's some cool ones out there. Don't get me wrong, but the cool ones are outnumbered by the uncool ones. I mean, there's people out there where it's like, oh, I want to work with you, Larry, and I was that. I was like, well, it'd be we do some do some prelim pages. I'm like, you want me to do pages for free? And like I was in my head, and then I'm like, I just came out and was blunt about it. Says I don't do prelim. You pay me up front, and it didn't go so. It didn't help. The guy was a prick, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna just go back to writing prose. I'm gonna do this and that, whatever. Like he's like talk about this, but yeah, it's whatever. That's comics for you. I mean, there's people that they get into comics like they want to just turn it into the next big thing. It's like nobody knows who you are. It'd be do you like to make comics? Like I make comics no matter what. I make comics for myself previously. I'll still make them for myself first and
Yeah,
foremost. I make them like, hey, can I make something for myself that others may enjoy? Yeah, it's called Neon Trash. It's called Root Tone. I mean, there's some people that like this guy. He looks like a Germanic, you know, Super Mario character who's slicing things to pieces. That's a lot. I've noticed that a lot of my books. There's a lot of dismemberment. There's a lot of dismemberment in my comics, like arms, bodies getting split in half, heads getting lopped off, like pretty gruesome stuff. And I'm like most of it's like pretty normal until you get head decapitation.
right.
But that's another thing. It's like like the violence doesn't bother. It's not real. It's like video games. Like how can you do that as a video game? It's like it's not real. Movies, it's not real. Even something as horrific as like Irreversible. It's like oh my god, Monica Bellucci, no. uh,
No,
like horrible stuff, really horrible stuff. I don't seek it out. it's like certain stuff like I'm not going to go watch, I Spit on Your Grave or Last House on the Left and or Hills Have Eyes or stuff like that because of certain content. Because it's like, oh, it's just depressing. Because movie, just or like Straw Dogs or something. But put in the comics, like it's okay to show violence, but if you show some female nudity, oh no, can't do that. That's against the rules. It's like Walking Dead and Invincible, like especially Invincible. Arms being broken, teeth, like I'm telling bones sticking out the skin,
Mm-hmm.
teeth getting popped out, eyes gouged out, like bodies mutilated. Can't show a nipple. Can't show a woman's ass. You
Nope.
know, you can't do that. You definitely ain't showing no cooch.
I
So
mean, you can, but she has to be. eh, For the most part, I think the rule is you just can't show pink, and usually they have them not shave so that it's as covered as possible. If you ever notice, most nude scenes in movies, the woman has hair on her vagina.
that's the merkin. Fake vagina hair, fake
Yeah,
pubic hair. But yeah, it's like unless
they got the little Trump toupee on this.
the fuzzball
They
down
got,
there. It's like
yeah,
but that's the thing. It's like you can a lot of people, but they'll show penises for days. I'm like, dear God, please stop. I mean, the reason I say stop is like you ain't balancing it out. If you equal, be equal. Where's the rest of it? It's like come on, not on him, but her over
yeah.
there. But it's like balance that out. Like so I can be like, oh, okay, no, thank you. Oh, okay, there you go. But it's one of those, like it's weird. It's like that's America for you. I mean, there's some people like you can gussy up prostitutes, sex workers. But if I if you say you were to draw a nude woman, I mean you had previously, I believe it was for your Patreon, right? Your I believe it was oh was it Badger Bitch? No, it won't her, was it?
I
That
mean,
you've drawn
I've
tons
drawn.
of nude. You can't keep track of your nude character.
I mean, Radnem. I've done nudes of Radnem.
Rednem, that's
Uh,
it. That's the one. And that's the thing, like that right there. There's people like if you're a woman and you did that, you probably get some blowback, but not as much as if you're a male. I guarantee it. It's just that's how it goes. It's like it's weird how people break that stuff down. It's like there's certain people, even people like, oh, I like, like, oh, I like adult content. I like, I'm adult and mature. Like, but you show them like, like they're okay with all this violence, but you show them some nudity. Like, oh, what are you, sick? You perverted? Is this some kind of pornography? And I'm like, what's wrong with you people? It's like you want to see pornography? Go look at Tijuana Bibles. Come on, folks. Go
yeah,
look up some old like R. Crumb, underground comics from the '60s and all that kind of stuff. It gets pretty wacky, but
there was one. It was like an Archie style. It was called like Cherry Pop Tart. And actually, the art was really good too.
I think I know that. Yeah,
And
I
yeah,
think
I
I've
read
seen
it.
that one.
And I mean, the series is called Cherry Pop Tart. It was like a collection, pretty much of little short little comics, and they were funny. Like they were funny, and like they just always involved them eventually boning. And it was graphic art too, but it was like funny and good art. So I feel like it can work if you want to make like you can make a good porn comic too. But it's like nudity doesn't equal a porn comic.
Yeah.
A porn comic is a porn comic.
Well, those things exist. I mean, Eros Comics put out stuff. I mean, they put out Ironwood and
I
uh,
mean, look at Savage Dragon.
uh, now that right there, I think that ain't porn. That's a cry for help. you
Yeah,
know,
that is just something is wrong with that
I
son bitch.
I read like they had like sale going on, like an image sale. So it's like 99 cents an issue. And I bit the bullet, and I was like, "Screw it!" I bought like $14. I had the Trump one, where basically Trump's like all aliens out of America and this and that. But then I'm like, read it in context, because Malcolm Dragon, he's half alien. His dad, Savage Dragon, was a leader of an alien war party. That's the whole thing. It's like he ends up in a burning field and naked and everything. He was an alien invader, And then in Savage World, Savage Dragon, there's alien invaders all the time. They're always like trying to take over the world and everything like that. You know what? That might be a good idea. Let's send the aliens back to a dimensional portal to where they belong, because a lot of them coming through this, like coming from Dimension X. And I'm like, you know what? That actually sounds like a good idea. And it's like, you consider how violent and how like, and then you have, I've read the issues after that, and there is some stuff in that book. It's like, I, uh, choking on it, stuff pouring out of things. It's really graphic. I mean, and the worst part, it's like that character looks way too young. She looks like a kid, and I was like, I don't know if I should be buying this or reading this. It's like I should maybe report this, like Comixology is like, but it's like one of those things. Like that's where like the Comic Legal Defense Fund, which I donated money to them one time. I was like, yeah, it's back in my day, and it's a little more softy. I'm like, no, this will send me stuff. But they would defend that, and they defend like certain stuff. I'm like, and perhaps they should, but it's like don't mean I like it. Doesn't mean I have to like it. But that book, I mean, there's a part like, dear God, the girl who looks way too young, Malcolm Dragon's wife, I forgot the character's name, gets raped.
Noodle from she's
Yeah,
Noodle
from
Gorilla.
gorillas, from gorillas. Exactly.
I can't like that's the only thing I see. I'm like, no, that's clearly
Dum,
Noodle.
dum, 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 dum.
Yeah.
Happy.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, no, that's totally Noodle. Like, I
well,
don't care what anybody says, that's Noodle. Even if you don't, I mean, even if it isn't supposed to be, it's clearly Noodle.
yeah, it's definitely now I can't unsee that. But there's well, all the way up to the certain issue. Like she's like, oh, like every issue has like had a really horrifically graphic sex scene, like menage a trois, being it's remember that scene from I think it's a Scary Movie 1 or 2, the one where she gets plastered to the ceiling.
Yeah, I seen that one in the comics. She got slammed against the wall, man.
And it was choking on the fluid, as it were. So throughout the whole comic, she's like, oh, this like sex crazed fiend and this and that, whatever. And there's a part where she gets hurt and she dies, and he gives her his blood, and his blood's magical or powered or whatever. Like it allows her to come back from death, but she comes out looking. She's like she has green skin and a fin and all that stuff. And then if they don't give her this what they call, it's called freak out. It's basically like Narcan or whatever. When they give like overdosing people, they give that to her, because if they don't, she explodes. Like that happens to people. Like that's what his blood will bring you back from the dead, but it'll kill you if you don't get it out of you. And while she did that, and then she's like overly sexual. Like she's like, oh, she was in heaven, and she saw heaven, and it's like it was like a all nonstop orgy, and she just can't get enough, and this and that, whatever. Until a demon comes to Toronto. Oh yeah, there's apparently rednecks in Toronto with Confederate flags and everything, which just made me laugh. I'm like, what red? Like, I mean, I was in Wisconsin one time, many years ago, and there were a lot of rednecks up, like quote unquote rednecks with the Confederate flags, I saw more Confederate flags in Ohio and Wisconsin I've ever had in the South. That's just so weird when I was driving up there. It's like, what are you people doing? This is not the Deep South. This ain't no Alabama or Mississippi. It's like, what are you people doing? But the idea of like these Confederate flag waving guys in Toronto, of all places. But there's a part where a demon comes up out of hell, and Savage Dragon, the new Savage Dragon, Malcolm Dragon's wife, gets raped to death by a demon. I'm talking torn to pieces by a demon penis. And he brings her back from the dead, and that time bringing her back from the dead, all she could think of. Oh, and apparently there's video of this, like that her kids get to see. So they get to see her mother. It's like, I'm like, Eric, dude, are you okay? Like, it's one thing to lie about the whole newsprint thing. It costs too much. Nobody can do it. This, that, whatever. And this another thing to just put this out there, and I'm like, dude, I feel bad for you, man. Like, are you okay? And it's like it's it's soul crushing. It's like it's just truly soul crushing because I mean I put little bits of myself into my work. Sometimes the stuff you wouldn't expect, like little bits, like like little nods here and there to maybe something I experienced or thought or whatever. This I can't 100% divorce myself from what I create. I don't think that's possible for anyone.
Right.
And like, what part of Eric Larson's being put into these comics? That's what I'm thinking. But
Just so bad.
yeah, it's makes you icky. Such a down note. I'd bring everything down. But picking it back up, perking it back up, with your love of the female form, which I have to say is quite remarkable.
Oh, thank
Uh,
you.
I look forward to any and all of your female characters that you happen to put on display this summer. Because I've been, I know you're gonna probably be seeing some like women in bikinis or something like that. And it puts you in the, like, there you go. I gotta draw some fine looking women. So there you go. So that's one thing I'm looking forward to this summer.
Yes, no, I mean, even like the main character of my next series is a hot blonde on purpose. Because I think after everybody putting up with my big fat bisexual hero,
Yep.
they they deserve a series with a hot blonde chick. With tickle bitties.
Well, I appreciate the fact that it's like you already threw a bone to other people, so now it's like you stuck through it. Now here's your reward. This is
Right, right. I mean, that's another reason the radical nemesis was put into one pool, so I can balance it out. Because I just didn't want it to be all, oh, it's all gay bisexual. No, I also wanted to have I just want to have something for everybody in it. And right now it's working pretty good. Everybody loves her visually, so that's always a win. Yeah.
well, and that right there, that's one thing about comics. I think if you don't have a good visual hook, you can have a well written comic, but if it looks like garbage, that's another thing. It's like the writing will not like a great writing will only carry a book so far. You got to have a good marriage of art, and that's how I feel. And like I think that what you're doing is fantastic. What you're going to be doing eventually will be fantastic as well, unless something happens and like you start shitting the bed, as it were. I don't think that's gonna happen, but you never know. I mean, people can't surprise you, but I don't think you will. But
I haven't shit the bed in a while.
well, now you take the plastic sheets off. No, but no, it's one of those things. Like I think that there is potential in certain people, and you just scratch the surface on what you can do, dude. And it's I know in the past you had talked about how I'm kind of Danny Glovering it up. I'm too old for this shit, but you're not, and it's you're never too old for this. I mean, you can do this if this is what you want to do it. And that idea, that whole tough love thing, it's like there's people like if you don't have it in your heart and soul, if you don't have that drive to make it happen, you have that drive. You're going to do it no matter what. I mean, it's good that you got support. You got the people supporting you. You got financial support for your projects. It's one thing for people like, hey, that's great. Like you can retweet the hell out of things and like it and comment about it. That's great. But actually people actually showing up and giving you money and paying for a product that you do. And they're loyal customers. It's like, walking up to somebody and it's like, I support what you do. Like that whole Jimmy Palmiotti thing with the whole, I support creators. He's like, you can support a creator and not support, basically, it broke down to like, you can support the creator without supporting the book or the creation. And it's like walking by somebody's table at a convention, like they're having a downtime and, you see, like you go by their table, it's like, you know what? I support you in your comic. I support you in whatever you do. You're a comic creator, and they maybe perk up a little bit. Like, oh, they're gonna buy something. Have a great day, fellow creator. You just walk on by, like, what the hell? it's that's basically what he's doing. And anybody, any of these other people, like they say they support you, but unless you're actually showing up and putting in, like if you got unless you got the receipts, talk,
Yeah.
you can talk all you want, but that don't mean nothing. And I think that's right there. I think you got people that got your back one way or another, and it's good. And if somebody deserves, you shit post, but you don't. You're out there trying to just ruin people's days. You know, unless you're
No,
showing ball sack. Unless that's the thing. I don't need to see the twig and berries right there on the screen. I'm scrolling down. Like, oh, Jesus, that's a day ruiner. But you ain't doing that. You're doing that to shit post. I get it, but it's like just because I get it, don't mean I like it.
no, I mean, shitpost agenda is supposed to offend everyone equally. If
Well,
if if
mission
something I do,
accomplished.
like, no, and that's the thing that I always try to get to people. Uh, no one is safe.
You're a damn terrorist. You're a shit
Eventually,
posting terrorist.
right? Eventually, something I post is gonna be like, "Oh, come on, Troy. Sorry, bro. You shouldn't have encouraged me by liking everything else." But here we are. And now you finally stumbled upon a shit post and you're like, "Ah, really, Troy?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I took it there." But if you look at it, just let me do it. I'll get it out of my system and I'll move on to the next shit post. Because if you make a big deal out of it, I make a bigger deal out of it. And I'll increase the shit post and I'll change characters into someone that can make me increase it even more. And that's the fun gimmick to my whole Twitter persona. I could always change into another form. You
Now,
know?
if you start doing the furry stuff, I don't know about that, man. Don't.
No. I mean, if I did, it would be for very specific reasons because there's a prominent furry that I have to parody. But I wouldn't do it on my own organically. If you take a look at any character I portray, it usually has something to do with someone that's done something in society that I can directly parody right there on the spot because everybody's talking about that person.
Well, I appreciate that, knowing that heads up. So if I have to see something, if I see something like really drastic change, I'm like, something's going on. I'm not paying attention.
Well, like I said, like even with the when I had the girl face and the girl persona, it's because Josh was going around and he was face apping people, like prank face apping people and showing who they were. And like I looked at it, I was like, "Oh, bro, I'm like a pretty smoking broad. Check that out, dude." I was like, "I'm running with this joke, man." I was like, "This is hilarious." Um,
That stuff creeps me out,
and
though. That
I
that right
had
there, I know though. People say it's fun. Like that stuff's just like it's disturbing. It's like now they can do that. You take a single photo and make a video of like a person like talking, like like where they can take a single photo and have a person's head and everything like that.
yeah, I see those. Those are creepy.
I don't like where technology's going, man. It's like technology's already there. It ain't just gone. It's gone. It's already there. It's
Yeah,
like
it's
now you,
there.
you can't believe what you see, what you hear, like it's like nowadays, like people don't even pick their heads up from their phones. It's like, are you a real person? Reach out, touch their face, make sure they ain't wearing like some Mission Impossible mask.
There's gonna be a lot more catfish people.
Oh God, yes. And like I don't believe that's you. And then you have like some kind of like that video thing, real time. And it's like, what do you think? And like, they're gonna have some kind of voice. They already got voice changing stuff. You pitch it up, pitch it down. You
Or I mean,
know,
it could just even be like a hideous woman or a hideous man uh, portraying a prettier version of themselves. Because I mean, I would put a handsome young guy with muscles and hair.
I could never do it, not because of like morals. Well, that not only because of morals, but because of the fact that I couldn't. As a good, decent actor as I can be, I couldn't. I couldn't consciously do it that long. I'd have to break characters. Like this is just too cruel. I couldn't do it.
Like I would do it, and then I'd show up to where I said I was gonna meet her, and then when she's all sad, then I come through as myself.
Hey,
Hey,
what's wrong? Hey, what's wrong, honey?
you
Some
look
losing
sad. What's
EVP.
going on? What did someone? stand you up. What a piece of shit,
Kick his
you know.
ass. I see
And
him. I
then
kick his ass.
yeah, there, that's it. And just hope that I can charm her over right then and there, and I'll take over from there. And she'll be like, "You remind me of someone." Be like, "You know what? I feel the same way about you. Have we talked before?"
That's so scummy. Oh my god! It's it's gonna be happen. If it ain't happened already, it's going to happen.
Yeah, yeah, I know.
Oh my
But I always tell people, Mr. Larry King, I am a piece of shit. You know, I do not deny that. You know what I mean? I do know I'm a piece of shit. Uh, those are like my young guy days. You know, these days I kind of want to be left alone. Uh, like I have no problem going out and hanging out with women, but whenever I do go out to hang out with women, it's really because I just want to go out, relax, and have fun. Like I'm finally at the age that I can go out and relax and have fun, and we will just like, that's fun.
That right there. That's. I mean, that's good. That you can actually have fun and not be like just that constant chase. That chase is not fun.
Oh, that chase, I refuse to do that chase. That's where I'm like, I'm too old for that shit.
Yeah, it's one of those things like around here. Like I tried that chase for a little bit. Kind of like what, change up the game, as it were. It's like had more than one go. So you go mudding, and if you don't know what mudding is, that's basically just going out in a big old mud hole and spinning tires and all that kind of stupid stuff.
That sounds fun as shit.
Yeah, to me, that's like just like only thing I can think of is I'm gonna have to clean that shit off. Even if I had a vehicle to do it, I have to clean that shit off. I don't drink, I don't smoke, don't use chewing tobacco. I can't stand the music they listen to. Uh, it's like that. Like if you're talking about mud, watching some women mud wrestling, I might be up for that. Never seen it, but hey, I want to give it a watch. Outside of like a movie or two or a TV show that might have had it, but yeah, I'm like, nah, that's not my thing. I'm like, you go hunting, and I'm like, no, I don't. And if I had to go hunting, I would, but I don't got no place to skin it. All that kind of stuff. I just be killing an animal just to kill an animal, and that sounds like serial killer to me. If you ain't using the animal,
Yeah.
if I was gonna kill a deer and you can turn it into jerky or do somebody that wanted the deer or turn it into a stew or steaks or something like that, that's one thing. I don't have no problem doing that. Like, I mean, I'm pretty confident, I could track, but nobody tracks anymore. Like, they'll go and buy some sweet potatoes or get sweet potato scraps and they dump it in the field enough times to get deer coming around, and then you can pick off which ones you want. Shooting fish in a barrel, or you get dogs to run the deer or bear. Yeah, it's not really hunting. You're not tracking the animal. You either sit in your truck and let your dogs do the work for you, or you sit in a tree stand and wait. It's just that's not hunting. That's shooting fish in a barrel and calling it hunting. At least fishing, you still got to stand there, but you got to use the right lures. You got to use the or right bait. I found out using some grub worms could really catch some freshwater fish really easily. Actually, caught them too easily, too quickly. I caught like a dozen fish or half a dozen fish in about 6 minutes, 7 minutes. It's like a fish a minute. I pull it off the hook, still got grub worm left. Cast it again, another fish. Guy shows up. Hey, you want a fish? What's wrong with him? I says, there's too many of them. I'm don't want to see them. I've got caught too many. He's like, I'll take. He had a trunk full of ice. It was like fishing for his family. So there you go. I mean, that stuff like that. That's fine. But going out and drinking just to drink, listen to some crappy music, lie. Get drunk to the point of hopefully she's drunk enough to say yes, she'll come back. Like whatever. Nah, thank you. Nah, thank you. Yeah, that's not my thing. I'm too old fashioned. I guess.
I mean, that's like when I was younger, like when I was in my 20s, like that's what you did. You went out to bars, you got drunk, you went and met chicks that were doing the same thing with their friends. You know, you guys kind of dispersed one another amongst each other, and you took it from there.
Yeah, it's kind of hard around here. The closest bar is like an hour away. There's like
Oh
no
my
bars.
God, around
Well,
here,
oh yeah,
around
definitely.
there's a surplus of fucking a bar. Anything from a dive to like a fancy fucking upscale place. There's like shitloads of them over here.
You want a fancy one, I have to go like an hour and a half away. If you want, now if I wanted to go get drunk, I'm talking drunk. Now I'd have to go like there's some black folk that have what they call bars, but they're basically double wide or single wide trailers that they basically sell hard alcohol out of. Basically go down there, buy some buy some alcohol, stay there and drink, buy it and go, buy a little blow if you wanted, buy some weed, buy some. They probably got everything. You got probably got some other stuff in there, probably pills. Actually, a guy. The reason I know about these because a guy that he was upset at my brother in high school, but because my brother's ag engineering teacher was my brother, his ag engineering teacher was in high school. My brother was in elementary school, and they had like a little mentorship program where high school kids would mentor like elementary school kids. And so he remembered my brother, and the teacher made this guy like basically back down. The guy wanted to fight my brother. My brother like stepped on a shoe or something stupid like that, and the teacher made the guy back down and get out of class. So the guy was like raging apparently all night and all day. Because the next day I had class with this guy in JROTC, and all day he was like staring at me like watch one of the nature programs or like a predator staring at prey. And I'm like, this something ain't right here. And so we go when that happened on a Wednesday because that was the day of the physical, the PT. And I go run my mile, come back, and he refused to run a mile. He's like pacing back and forth, and I'm like, what's going on here? And one of the teachers of the class, Sergeant Major, was a Vietnam vet. The other was Gulf War and like Grenada and some like that right there. I think Kosovo or something like that. And he was there, and he was the one that took us on PT, and we're going back in. And I'm in front of the line, and it feels like eyes burning in the back of my head, man. Like that, that feeling, like somebody
Yeah,
staring at you that extreme. So we get back to the classroom, and I walk by, and I get back in there first, and I tell Sergeant Major's on the phone talking to somebody. I says, Sergeant Major, hate to bother you. I got a bad feeling. Can you watch my back? Just like I got a bad feeling. So I get back in the classroom, and I hear, all right, you motherfucker. And this guy comes running at me like the fucking juggernaut. These tables in the classrooms are flying because they're like light tables to be stacked. They're like to fold, like kind of like folding tables. When do like rifle drills in the classroom. We had like these M1902 Springfield bolt action rifles, no firing pins. The bolts are welded shut. You couldn't put a shell in there even if you wanted to, and you couldn't fire it even if you wanted to. But like people do get, you don't have to have enough room, so you put the tables up. So he's just knocking the shit out of the way like the fucking juggernaut. I'm doing backstrokes over the back of the fucking table, trying to reach the back wall because there's this climbing gear. There's like climbing axes with the you've seen people like you bury it into an ice wall. If you play Modern Warfare 2, it's the thing when you and Soap climb the ice wall. It's basically that because it's a hammer with a spike on the end. And I'm like, this guy's like 6'3", 350, mostly muscle. This guy's a big dude. And I'm like, oh, he's gonna tear me apart. And there's like, I can throw a punch and it won't do no good. It's like one of those. He's one of those dudes. So I'm like, I need a weapon. So I'm backstroking to get this weapon, and here comes the sergeant major. But then the major comes out. That's the one that was in Kosovo and Gulf War, the non-Vietnam vet, and he comes in, tackles this dude, goes through a table. I'm surprised the table didn't break; it just like flipped. I'm like, that table should have broke. He bounces off the concrete floor. He's like, "Get off me, motherfucker! Get off me!" And then Sergeant Major's like, "Yeah, it's going to jail, son." And they haul him out like King Kong. They had the ankle, the wrist, and the waistband, and this chain between all of it. He fought like 3 cops. So if they had guns and knives, it took 3 cops to take him down. Once once the major got off of him, that it took 3 cops because the major had his like arm like basically going to break it. He was going to break his arm because he's trying to get up and fight him.
yeah.
And and then it turns out that Major, he was 45, 47. He had knocked up a 14-year-old girl,
Oh,
and then that guy, the guy that attacked me or tried to attack me, he got tackled. He was at one of these clubs out these little trailers, and these trailers, and he was messing with a guy that was like kind of Kevin Hart size, like like 5'2", 5'3", like kind of tiny guy. And like messing with him, like humiliating him in front of the people, just messing, just you just taking any kind of pride away from this dude. Well, and pushing him around, so the guy goes to his car, gets a 22, fires at him like 5 times, hits him in the thigh like 3 times, the chest twice, thigh 3 times. It's the ones in the thigh that got him. Went to the femoral artery, right up to his heart. He's out, dead. He killed this dude dead. Cleared the place out, because he pop, 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 pop. And the guy only did, I think he only did like 8 months because they could prove like this guy's a criminal record. Apparently, after high school, this guy like aggravated assault. This guy he was scum. He was a scumbag, and he got put. It's like one of those things. Like I was like thinking, if I ever get jury duty, and if I get jury duty on that, like I'm gonna have to, like, what do I say? Do I say nothing? Because this guy, like this guy kind of did, he didn't do me a favor, but it's like I know where the guy's coming from. Or do I just be like, I'll have to recuse myself because it might come out. It's like, you went to high school with this person. Like, you want to see this man set free from murder. Yeah, that kind of stuff, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like, the dude was a problem. Somebody took care of that problem. So that's the only reason I know that these like little clubs, these bars exist out in the middle of the backwoods, roads where they haven't been paved in like 30 years, but they don't have much wear to them because they haven't been really used other than tractors and combines and some farm trucks. So it's like, that's, people don't realize, like, I live in a town that has less population than most apartment buildings. It's like, that's, sometimes you hear semi-automatic gunfire, but it's usually not trouble. Though there are some people that do sell meth in the area. There are meth little pop-up stop and go meth manufacturing that does explode every now and then. That happened about 7-8 months back, actually before that hurricane that came through last year. And it was like 10 o'clock at night, heard a big old explosion. My next door neighbor there, he's a psychiatrist. And we come out and he's got his gun. I got my gun. And we're out there. And it's just like fun because he's like 6'4" bald black man. I'm like a 5'11" bald white guy, and we're out there with guns. Like a fucking, he had his like t-shirt and shorts up, t-shirt, like fucking laid back, like lazy remake of Lethal Weapon. I'm like the fucking Mel Gibson, and it's just funny because it's like out there, and it's like, I think that's a meth explosion. He's like, yeah. Them sons of bitches. It's like just funny just like to see this shit. It's like, stuff like that would be fun. Like, I can't really put it in, because I can't. A comic strip, yes. Full comic story, I don't see how I can work that out at this time. But
I don't know. I was thinking I kind of want to put out a webcomic, but I already have so much fucking work on my plate that it's like, not
definitely. Dude, you got so much going on, and it's like a lot of that stuff. You got to take the paying gigs. You got to take that paying gig, and there's people that won't understand that. Why don't you do more of your own stuff? I gotta pay the bills, and also I like doing. Sometimes like I can't really relate, but I can understand it. Like, you come across a project, somebody pitches a project with you where they're working with you, and you're actually working with them. You're not just doing a gig, and it's fun. Like, you want to see that thing through. And there's too many people that start stuff and never finish it. The half-ass jobs just to get another job done. Like, nah, that ain't gonna cut it. That ain't gonna cut it at all.
Yeah. But Mr. Larry King, I think I gotta get off. Now that I'm looking at the time.
Well, I understand that because it's about midnight. Going to turn into a pumpkin. Not careful.
It will. A rotten pumpkin.
A rotten pumpkin. But this has been fun. We got to do this again soon. Maybe get some other mass holes around.
Kid, we'll get a bunch of us over here, guy.
Grumpy Pete, Ronan, you. I don't know any more people up that way. Well, I know like maybe one or two, but that's about it. But they don't really do streams.
Right.
But yeah, like we all three. I don't know if I could even keep up. You know, be
We
like,
go
Mr.
fast. We talk
Fox,
fast with each other. End up talking fast with each other, guy.
y'all. I don't know. You never know. I could try to keep up a bit, and I'm like, oh no, the accents start coming out. It's I think I've seen that happen. Two people who are in New Jersey, they don't talk to each other. Separate, they're fine. Together, it's like Wonder Twin powers, but with New Jersey accents. So I have a feeling the same thing might happen with your New England accents. So
Oh yeah, it'll be a bunch of guys just being fucking mean because
it's a piss
the
a kid.
the fucking the thing is, Mr. Larry King, the more guys that come at me talking like this, the thicker the mind gets talking back to them.
It's a what do you call it, a cascade effect. It just it
Right.
builds and builds.
They'll just start to build.
But this has been fun. So thank you again for joining me.
My pleasure, sir.
And this is and thanks for those that popped in. I appreciate you keeping the chat pretty lively and having a little fun. And we'll be back at this soon. So stay tuned to my Twitter. And if you ain't following Troy, you need to just follow him. It's a smart thing. Like, what you probably hear because of him. Nobody's here from me. I know the score.
You can't wait, but always remember, no one is safe from me.
No one's safe from the shitpost agenda. It takes everyone. It's like what do you call it? It's like the meteorite. It's like a meteor 2020. It's like shitpost agenda 2019 and ongoing.
But it's for everybody's good, because that way no one can say I target one specific thing.
It's like you're the soldier that fires on everyone, including the enemy. It's like, hey, you shot the terrorist leader. Great. You start firing at your ass. It's like, what are you doing? Hey, no one's safe. You shoot yourself in the foot too, for good measure.
Yeah, no, and I'm gonna keep running. Yeah, I just shoot my foot real quick and run away from everybody because everybody's like, they're too weirded out to shoot me. They're like, just let him go.
He's out of his fucking mind.
Here,
ain't it cool?
Yeah, he just killed a couple of us, but it looks like he's about to take out another 30 of them.
It's like, hey, it's like a lot of them got flesh wounds, but the terrorists got taken down really bad. Like, you know what? It could be worse. It could be much
totally
worse.
Worth it. Totally worth it.
Well, with that, we end the stream. Thank you again. And until next time, folks, good night and good luck.